Hello artists and welcome to the epic journey. This is day 107 and I'm Dalene FM, and today we're going to be starting a drawing with the aim of mounting it onto a canvas. So we're going to start off with our piece of paper laid out on the table here. I have a roll of paper that I bought from my local art store that's 100 meters long and 1.5 meters wide, and if I remember correctly it was 180, it might have been a bit lighter than that, but I think it was 180 gram paper. It's relatively light. Now I bought this roll of paper specifically for doing this exercise because you need a lightweight paper. The paper is going to go through a process that I will explain to you a little later on, and the process requires the paper to be relatively lightweight. So I don't think it's a good idea to go more than 180 grams. It's probably even a good idea to go a little bit less than that, maybe the 125 grams. Now they are very light for drawing on, so you've got to be careful that you don't tear your paper, but it's a good idea to do it on that if you're going to be doing it for this particular process. Now let me just go back to this drawing. As you all remember, if you were watching yesterday, this drawing I laminated onto a canvas. This is a normal everyday canvas, and I laminated this drawing onto the canvas. The reason I did that was because I used to do a lot of art markets, which required that I lugged all my stuff to the art market on a Saturday morning, set it all up at the end of the day, packed it into boxes and dragged it all back home again. A lot of my drawings were in frames and behind glass, and it was really heavy to carry around. And what would happen sometimes, if the wind would come up, it would whip my drawing off, it would go flying and the glass would break. And sometimes I'd even arrive there in the morning to find that some of the glasses have broken just from in transit in the car. So I lost a lot of drawings, well, I lost a lot of frames that I had to then re-glass the drawing. And it eventually got to a point where I just had enough of this and I needed to find another way to do it. And I had considered possibly having the drawings really well photographed and taking them to a phototype shop and having them printed onto canvas, you know, like you do when you take your photographs in and you have them printed onto canvas. I was going to do the same sort of thing, but I really wanted to have the original available for people to see. So I kind of did this as a bit of an experiment, and this was the very first canvas that I ever did it with. This canvas has been around for a good few years now, a good sort of 5 years or so. It has been through the mill. It has been dragged from pillar to post to and from art markets. It has been blown by the wind. It has taken a real knock. You can see by the one corner here. It is, at one stage it took a bit of a tumble in the wind, I suppose, and the corner got a bit damaged. It has stood in the rain. It has stood in the sun. Like I say, it's been blown about by the wind, and it has been taken in and out of a cardboard box daily when it was going to the art markets, and yet it still looks really good. It's got a nice film of varnish over it, so you can wipe it down with a damp cloth. It can be rained on. It is really incredibly weatherproof. This was my experiment. This was my very first one that I did, and it's worked out so well that a good few years later I'm quite confident now to be able to say that this way that I've done this will make sure that your drawing lasts for many years to come without having to be in a heavy frame under heavy glass. Now when I did this one, I hadn't done any experimenting before, and this was the very first one that this was the experiment, and it has worked out so well that I've just continued along the same line. So this is not a case of me having experimented with a few different ways of doing it to find which way works best. This was the very first way that I did it actually worked, and that's the method that I've stuck to. So this exactly how I did it here is how I'm going to explain it to you now. But of course the first thing we need to do is start off with a drawing. So we're going to make sure we've got a piece of paper that's way bigger than the canvas that we're going to use. And the first thing that we need to do is to make sure that the drawing area is marked off on our piece of paper. So I'm going to grab a pencil. And I'm just going to mark off my canvas. The next thing that I need to do is to measure You see the edge of the canvas there is quite deep. I need that much plus a little bit for the back. So I need alright, so that's 3.5 centimeters plus at least 3 centimeters. So let's go for 6. Let's say at least 6 centimeters. Oh dear, I've left out a corner there. Let's put this back. I had left out a corner. Alright, so we've got the side here that's 3.5 centimeters, and we've got the back that bit there that's 3 centimeters. So I'm going to need at least 6.5 centimeters of additional space, additional paper for when I do the wrapping around. So let's go 7. I can always trim off if I need to. Now what I'm going to do on these sides is I'm going to draw a line very, very lightly. I don't want this line to be terribly visible, because if I mount this paper ever so slightly skew or to the one side or whatever on my canvas, that line's going to be visible. So I want to draw it very lightly and then be able to remove it at a later stage if I need to. Okay, so I'm going to come back now and I'm going to just clean up these outside lines. I don't want them to be too visible. Most of this in the corners here is going to get cut off, and you'll understand why when I do it. But I still want to get rid of anything that might interfere, because at the end of the day you want a really nice, neat finish. Alright. Now folks, I'm not going to trim this paper now. It's a good idea for me to keep this paper much bigger than I need it until I'm finished with the drawing, because then I can always just trim off any dirty edges where I might have finger marks possibly, or I might have rubbed my pencil to sharpen it, whatever. So I've got this little bit of extra paper here that I'm not going to need. So it just helps me to neaten things up. Right, so that's how we get started. We've got our canvas size nicely marked out. That's the extent of our visible drawing. We've got the edge here, which incorporates both the sides and the back of the wood of the canvas. Now we do our drawing, and whatever your drawing is, it's not an issue. You can draw in pencil, pastel, charcoal, you name it. All you've got to make sure is that it is well fixed with fixative spray. You're going to spray your drawing with fixative spray after it's done. And when that is done, we will go on and carry on with the mounting process. So for now, let's concentrate on the drawing. Alright, so it's confession time. What you saw in the first part of this video was actually the second time that I had done this. So what you're looking at now is the first time that I did it. I had recorded me sitting doing a drawing and then got 2/3 of the way through it and decided it was an awful drawing and I really didn't want to work with this particular drawing. So I started again. What that means is that I wasted a bit of time, so today I'm unable to carry on with the drawing. So I've scrapped the one that you're looking at now. I've tossed it away, it's in the bin, and I'm going to start again tomorrow with a new drawing and some fresh eyeballs. So forgive me for not having started the drawing today. I would actually rather do it with a drawing that I think is a decent drawing rather than work on a substandard drawing. Once we've done the drawing part, then we'll be able to carry on with the mounting process thereafter. So thank you very much for joining me on day 107. This is going to be something new to you, I'm sure. And I know that for sure because this is something I worked out myself. And I will see you tomorrow with the drawing part of the process in day 108. Please do the usual liking and sharing, folks. Thanks again. See you tomorrow. Bye.